This Fleet Equipment Unscripted interview is presented by Hendrickson, a leading manufacturer of heavy-duty suspension systems and components to the global commercial transportation industry. Visit hendrickson-intl.com to learn more.
Hey everyone, I'm Jason Morgan, Content Director for Fleet Equipment. Welcome to Fleet Equipment Unscripted. Today we're talking with Shay Demmons, Chief Product Officer for Fleetworthy. Shay, thanks for taking the time. Great to see you.
Great to see you as well, Jason. Thank you very much.
We're going to be diving in, talking about AI today, which I feel like I'm constantly talking about. Seriously, this is my second or third meeting about AI today. So definitely a lot going on here. Give us a quick overview, if you could, please, of how Fleetworthy is implementing AI.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Well, first, look, AI, as you know, is another tool in the toolbox for technology, right? And I think at Fleetworthy, when we look at technologies, the discussion and the decision always has to begin with, first, our mission, right? Does it help move our mission forward? Secondly, is making sure we understand the customer's challenges and whether or not this is actually a solution to their challenges. And the third part of that is the likelihood of success, right? Can we actually deliver the impact that we say or we believe we can? And when you think about what we've done and what we built over the years, we actually think we're really uniquely positioned to the scale and the quality of data that we built to deliver real, lasting value for fleets. So let me break this down into pieces, if you would. First is the mission and our vision, our values, right? We really believe that every trip matters for our customers. And that trip is not only when the ignition starts to when it ends, but it's preparation going into that trip, the trip itself, and then ultimately, how do you learn from that trip and drive future, enhancements or, improvements along that way. And so, we don't believe in rolling out AI for the sake of rolling out AI, but it's really around, can we help our customers reduce their risk, streamline their operations, and enable fleets to prosper in what is a tough industry, right? Ever since COVID, a lot of costs have gone up, shortages and whatnot, and therefore we're here to help our customers not only survive in this marketplace, but really thrive. And so our approach to AI, again, is this practical rule-based, hey, when does it fit? When does it not fit, right? And so for us, it's all about the journey of where Fleetworthy has been built and how it's been built. And so I'd like to take you through that quickly and why that uniquely positions us to deliver on that value of the promise of AI. So our journey kind of started with, BestPass, which is obviously a toll solution. And we produce hundreds of millions of toll transactions, right? And when you think of AI, the heart of AI is data, right? Do you have high quality data? And so obviously with all these toll transactions, there's a lot of data that we're able to tap into. We then acquired Fleetworthy, which is really around compliance and helping fleets, whether it be driver compliance or asset compliance, how they get ready and prepared so that they can have a safe and efficient trip, right? And so, Fleetworthy was a tech-forward company, really started to get into computer vision, which is a part of AI, and digitizing those documents, right? And so that we could pull out metadata and start to use that data for efficiency, for quality, to check for errors and whatnot. We then went on to acquire DriveWise, which was really another tech-forward company in the bypass space. So way station bypasses. They have over 900 sites that really, again, produces a breadth and a depth of data that's really needed for AI. And so they have a lot of integrations with ELD and telematics providers that really provides a lot of heavy data, both on the way station side, but also into safety alerts and information we can produce for the cabs. And then the last two acquisitions was Commerce Logic, which is really about using data science and machine learning to take what has historically been a reactive toll, where you run through your tolls and at the end of the month or a couple of weeks later, you get your transactions, to now turning that into a proactive. So you can start to plan and understand what the cost profile might be before you take the trip. Also start to look afterwards from an auditing standpoint, say, hey, were those good choices? Should we make other choices next time? And then ultimately, most recently, we acquired Hall, which was a compliance solution really based for smaller fleets, less than 150 trucks. And so that's important to understand because it was built on the premise of how do we provide self-service, and automated workflows for those fleets that don't have large staffs, And so really, just to give you an example of how we've already implemented this. So with Hall, for instance, medical examiner certification, right, is something that, drivers need to have. And, so Hall really developed a workflow where it's AI driven. So the driver uploads their document. We, through computer vision, we digitize that, we pull out the metadata. But beyond that, we're able to automate. We go out to the National Registry, get the information on the examiner herself, and we're able to put that side by side and set it up for someone within the fleet to then verify that everything's correct. So something that would typically take 15 to 20 minutes now takes a few seconds. And this is an example of the efficiencies and the error that we can help eliminate through leveraging AI. So when you think of the breadth of the data that we pulled together, you think of the depth of data that we have, and the investments that we've made in pulling that data together, we really think we're, again, uniquely positioned to drive improvements, efficiency gains, safety gains for our customers going forward.
Yeah, very good. And you outlined a lot of data points there. And I think in the fleet world, we've had copious amounts of data here. And it always comes down to being actionable, right? What do I act on? That's great. The data's great. The solution's great. But what's that data point I act on, right? So being able, to your point, automate some of that, let all those insights bubble up to the top. How do you go about implementing that, right? And this speaks to the heart of kind of building trust in the AI model that you're automating with. How does it distinguish between maybe some irregularities versus serious compliance risks? You want to avoid fines or failed audits, or especially in the way station arena. How are you distinguishing that and building those models?
Yeah. So one of the key values that we put is this idea of human-centric, right? And so we understand the importance of the data and the information that we have within our capability to tap into. And so, for instance, like I talked about with a medical examiner, right? It would be possible to automatically approve that and send it through and say, yeah, that works. We want to give our customers the opportunity, however, to take care of the easy work of going out, finding the document, taking a screen capture, comparing it versus the digitized data that we pulled up, and then laying it right in front of them so a user can look at it and go, no, this is good, right? Or no, hey, maybe there is an issue. And then we can continue. That does two things. One, it builds that trust over time where customers can start to see how effective it is, how much we can help them focus on other high value tasks while building that trust of how effective this technology can be when used the right way. And so, one of the powers of AI is really looking at the amount of data that comes in when you think of fleets. There's an enormous amount of data, to your point, right? And what we're trying to do, and what we showed in that medical examiner, is where we can have use cases where we whittle that down. And so someone at the fleet operations or fleet manager, instead of spending 15, 20 minutes, can spend 15, 30 seconds, which allows them more time to dig deeper into those things that are really important. Because AI is really good at filtering out that noise from that vast data, right? And surfacing those critical risks and really bubbling that up to the top where someone can look and say, hey, this is a concern of mine. Let's dig into this and let's spend my time there.
Right. And one of those other aspects you had alluded to earlier, too, is kind of the predictive nature of it, being able to have a lot of that data, being able to look at it, analyze it, and say, watch out before this kind of things happens, right? I know you mentioned tolling situations. You can get into violations or billing discrepancies in terms of tolling. Can you give me an example maybe of how predictive intelligence might be able to prevent some of those things before they even happen?
Yeah, prevent, or, we can even talk about just driving efficiency, right? And like I talked about with the tolling use case, for instance, historically, you're going to set a path of where you want the driver to go, let's say, without really understanding the cost profile, the potential delays, the potential risk that are on the route that you're sending them. And with this data that we have, we can start to look into it and start to say, hey, look, here's your cost or the anticipated cost of that trip. Is that worth versus maybe an alternative route, right? Yes, it may save you some time, but is that a good offset? And so that allows fleets to start thinking proactively and start saying, hey, how do we really drive as much efficiency through our fleets? Likewise, from a risk standpoint or security standpoint, maybe you don't want to go through certain locations because of risk or security or safety concerns. And you can start to use those things and layering them in to say, hey, this is really how we want to send our drivers or our fleets to go to optimize for that efficiency and safety and whatnot. And so now it turns, hey, we're going to learn after the fact to let's get ahead of that and start being able to really control our destiny, so to speak.
Yeah, and I feel like that's maybe a different management model and takes a little bit of change management there to get that through in terms of how to approach the application. Where do you see all of this going? So you're taking this, you have all the AI capabilities, you continue to build upon them, you continue to acquire different solutions to be able to pull in that data. You have an idea of how you approach the development and the path forward?
Yeah, I mean, look, again, it comes back to our customers, right? And that's where we start with all of this. And we continue to start with conversations with our customers and prospects and talking about the real problems they're having and building solutions to address those. And so, we're going to continue to look at how do we present more information to our customers so that they can make better decisions. They can spend more time thinking about the high value decisions versus, hey, I got to dig through all this data and figure out, are we getting charged, for instance, for tolls that maybe aren't correct, right? Well, we can start to surface that up and again, allow them to focus on those higher priority items. And so, we're going to continue to invest heavily in our company because we think we're uniquely positioned to deliver on this promise, but it's going to be in hand with our customers in terms of those conversations about what problems they're dealing with, about the predictive nature versus reactive nature, versus how do we address the things that are impacting, whether it be their cost profile, whether it be their safety profile, whether it be their efficiency, and how can we leverage this technology to tap into and go after them. Maybe it's, for instance, eliminating additional noise in cab by being more selective about what alerts you're sending to the driver, right? Or improving the time it takes when there are issues and you need support, right? That's a model that you're seeing a lot more of where maybe a driver can quickly on the mobile app address an issue, whereas before they have to call in, spend time on the phone. Again, there's a lot of layers to the data that we have. There's a lot of layers that we can leverage this AI to unlock new functionality, new solutions for our customers.
Right. Very good. Well, Shay, I appreciate you taking the time to talk me through all of that. I predict that we will talk to you again very soon as all this AI development and solutions continues to roll out.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you being here.